I am delighted to welcome Dr. Ed Hindson.
Thank you, John.
It's good to see you. Now, I must tell you that I sat under this man's teaching at Liberty University when I was a seminary student at Liberty Baptist University from 1980 to 1983. And you have taught over 50,000 university students at Liberty live on campus.
Right.
And then through the extension online, how many more?
Another 50,000. So that's 100,000 in one lifetime, and that continues to grow. We have 14,000 students on campus right now at Liberty.
Fabulous.
And then we have about 89,000 through our distance learning program. So we're touching people all over the world, but touching them with the power of the Word of God and training Christian professionals in every walk of life.
And it's the exponential power of training leaders like you've done, over 100,000 now. But somewhere in the midst of a busy life of teaching students and hosting your own television program, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, you and eminent author Tim LaHaye, quite the expert himself on Bible prophecy, have put Target Israel together. We are going to be spending a lot of time this week with you in studio talking about this. Share with us why you two men put this book together.
Well, I think we did it partly because of what you've got here on the table. The fact that if you take the Bible seriously and the news seriously, the two come together and kind of jump out and grab your heart and attention. But Tim and I did it because we're concerned about what's happening in Israel today, politically, socially, morally, and then prophetically. So we wanted to write a book that emphasized the fact that Israel is all too often not only the target in many cases of Islamic extremism, they're also the target of theological extremism as well, and a lot of confusion about what is God doing today in Israel, what is He not doing. So let's do a book that walks through what's the history of Israel, why are they there? They weren't there for nearly 1,900 years. There was no Israel on a map, and suddenly from 1948 on, Israel becomes a nation again in one day. What is that all about? What is God doing? And what are the challenges about in the time in which we live today?
Well, it is as hot, this book, as today's headlines. We were just looking and referring last week to a number of the Palestinian attempts, stabbings, the police having to stop a new intifada being announced. And Joe Amaral has been on our program talking about that. Let's just try to put it in perspective. Here is Israel in the midst of, you will, of all of these surrounding, if you will, declared enemies. They've declared themselves enemies of Israel. They want Israel out, abolished.
Yeah, so you have a little country of about 6 or 7 million Jewish people. Half the Jews in all the world live in Israel. So what happens there is important, surrounded by 1 billion people that don't necessarily like that. Now, the hostility varies from one nation to another, from one group to another. But when you have leaders in Iran, for example, saying our number one objective is the elimination of the nation of Israel, and then turning around and saying, no, what we want is really peace. Yeah, a piece of this and a piece of that. So where is this going to end? What is it going to lead to? And the Bible has a lot to say about what will happen in the last days.
And that's what you two authors do. You walk us through the biblical timeline. You walk us through the rapture, the tribulation, the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. You talk about the judgments from the bema judgment seat of Christ to the great white throne judgment. We're going to dig deeper into all of these areas, or most of these areas, as we get into it. But we're also watching too now Russia in Syria, flying planes, and Syria and Israel there, the Golan Heights, they connect. You have Russian jets just seconds away from flying into Israel airspace.
People I don't think realize how small that area really is. When you're at the Sea of Galilee and you go up the hill to the Golan Heights, you're only 40 miles from Damascus. So Israel has a civil war in Syria right in their backyard, right on top of them. Yes, they're very concerned about what's happening there, and Putin's desire to say, I'm going to step in and try to stabilize the mess that America can't stabilize, puts both America and Russia and Israel and Syria technically at almost a sword point with one another in a very small airspace. And what will that lead to eventually?
And we have, I'm just saying, we pressed on time here, but that's so important because Russia plays a role in end-time prophecy.
Exactly. And the fact that they're there right now ought to at least get our attention.
You're not kidding. This is the book. It's called Target Israel. And Ed Hindson is just a Bible teaching machine. And I say that as the highest compliment. This man speaks all over the world communicating biblical truth. And he and Tim LaHaye, author of the Left Behind series, they've teamed up to write this book, Target Israel. We'll be talking more to Dr. Hindson in this segment today. In fact, all week long live in the studio. Please give us a call at 1-888-288-0003, or you can make a secure online donation to 100 Huntley at 100huntley.com.